Team Canada, standing for human rights.
Team Canada, standing for human rights.
I will not watch.
Beijing Olympic 2022.
I will not watch.
Beijing Olympic 2022.
I will not watch.
Beijing Olympic 2022. IOC human rights king. Boycott, boycott, Beijing 2022. IOC, do the right thing. No king. No king. No king. Boycott, boycott, Beijing 2022. IOC,
Do the right thing.
China out of Tibet now! China out of Tibet now!
out of Tibet now!
Free Tibet! Free Tibet!
Free Tibet! Free Turkestan!
Free Hong Kong!
Stand up for Taiwan! Stand up for Taiwan! Boycott! Boycott! Beijing Olympic! Boycott! Boycott! Beijing 22! Boycott! Boycott! Beijing 22! Boycott! Boycott! Beijing 22! IOC! Shame on you! IOC! Shame on you! IOC!
Shame on you!
Shame on you!
Are you all my personal dreams?
Start now.
China out of Tibet now! China out of Tibet now!
China out of Tibet now. China out of Tibet now. China out of Hong Kong now. Neutral communist.
Tirinde Pedebegi, Piripindata, Pidin Jachiva, Somalalia, Sondristil Sugu, the Tirinde Ranshingi, Zamalingi, Loginolia, Nimana Puji Chaguere, Chita, Jachigi, Tindin Sevicoso, Missamangene Gabuchi, Nimuchiri, Yimbina Tirinde, Jana Nolia, Tindin Sevati, correct Jenny Tirin Abu Chagor Levina. Bill no ya Dandan Rami Todonda, Dana Uygur, Hong Kong Tami, didn't only ya Taraki never she chat about Yushi in the Yatunding to Tindin, the 2 day never you chat your day. In the Samana Yatelia, Tiring at Tinzunge, Tajito, Mugishuagi, Fayore, the Tirin at the Momboje, people member Momboje in the Samana Yanga Timide, engine on Tukachi Shujochi. So I would like to speak a few words in English. I would in the 2008 Summer Olympic Game to Beijing was a catalyst for the Communist Chinese government to improve the rights and the lives of people who live under the Chinese rule. The International Olympic Committee suggests the game would improve human rights, but China's Communist government failed it. 14 years later, such promise is all but absent. In fact, what we see today is the International Olympic Committee doubling down its effort to promote Beijing's image and its own commercial interests. The human rights situation in Tibet has been deteriorating over the years. Human rights issue, abuse and political repression have reached the level of crime against the humanity, with increasing number of cases of extrajudicial killing, torture, arbitrary detention being committed in wide range in a systematic manner. For the last 6 years in a row, the United States think tank Freedom House ranked Tibet among the worst places in the world for civil rights and political freedom. Tibetans continue to be tortured, imprisoned for any expression of devotion and loyalty to Tibetan spiritual leader His Holiness Photey Dalai Lama. Recently, the Chinese government has demolished a 99-foot-tall Buddha statue in Kontrango. Additionally, 45 huge prayer walls destroyed, and Namja Monastery has been demolished on false ground of not having proper documents and violating the land use law. The school has targeted because it serves an important hub of education in area since it's established, offering a range of classes, Tibetan Buddhism and Chinese and English. After destruction, over 113 students were forced to return their village without access or enrollment in other schools. So the CCP assault on Tibetan political and cultural identity is evident in its accelerated implementation of what is called bilingual education policy that undermines Tibetan education system, use the national curriculum to promote integration and assimilation. Chinese authorities in Tibet have set a region-wide network of boarding schools for Tibetan children, separating them from parents and homes in bid to reduce the contact with their native language and culture, are reported by Tibetan rights group. And approximately 80,000 Tibetan children of age up to 18 have lived in schools. They suffer psychological, emotional trauma caused by forced separation from their families and culture. The Chinese government completely violates the fundamental rights of Tibetan people, include religious rights, language rights, right to preserve and practice its own culture and tradition. The CCP actively used development as a tool to penetrate deeper into Tibetan in society in order to preserve stability, maintenance, and political control in Tibet. Chinese authorities continue to implement a harsh policy of force, assimilation, ill-advised development, all in the name of stability maintenance. This results in the grave violation of political, civic, economic, social, and cultural rights. Today is a black day in history of humanity because the Beijing Winter Olympics are starting today under the shadow of mass imprisonment of over billions of Uyghur and Tibetan children forcibly sent to colonial China's boarding school and the crashing of democracy in Hong Kong. Holding the Olympic means the world accepting the Communist Party, which silences people who dare to speak. When situations and the leaders fail, it's up to us individuals to set up and take a stand. The International Olympic Committee should not have put athletics in a compromising position where whether they choose to stand up for human rights or stay silent as games unfold against backdrop of genocide. But today we are here. Whether the athletics, whether the leaders, they stand up or not, our voice is our choice. The time has come to us that power. I urge international community boycott to watch the genocide game. With the simple act of not watching the game, people across the world can show the solidarity with Tibetans, Uyghurs, and Hong Kongs living under the China's rule. And secondly, I urge all the Olympic athletics to express and speak up about the ongoing genocide inside China. And lastly, I urge all the athletics say no to bloody medals, which is made of blood. And Beijing 2022 will go down as the most controversial Olympic for the long time to come. But we can't bury our head in the sand and aid the normalization China's human rights issue. Thanks so much.
We are here, and I'm very proud to introduce Joy Luk, the first and only blind lawyer in Hong Kong. She was one of the key figures in the 2019 Hong Kong pro-democracy movement. With her bullhorn, she stood in front of the police and mediated with the protesters. She is now, like many of you, are now here in Toronto seeking political asylum. So today, this is her first public event and speaking out. Joy's courage and determination is an inspiration for all of us. So without further ado, I'm going to ask Joy to say a few.
My brothers and sisters here, today is very hard, but we have a passion. We love our brother and sister. We love the people from Hong Kong, Tibet, Uyghur, and South Mongolia. We stand together to boycott the Beijing Olympic Games. The Olympic Games, the core value of Olympic Games are to promote mutual respect and fair competition. Is there any respect to the people inside the border of China? What do you think? Is there any respect? No. Is there any respect to people in Hong Kong and Uyghur? No. And then, is there any fair treatment towards the people in Tibet, especially the Lama, and the people in Hong Kong has no freedom? I know China, the Communist Party, has done anything, many wrongdoing towards the people inside their so-called border. So I want the Communist Party to dissolve as soon as possible in order to get back our legitimate rights. Boycott Olympic Games! Boycott Olympic Games! Boycott Olympic Games!
Hello, good evening, friends gathered here. Today I am here to speak on behalf of Tibetan Women Association of Ontario. But more important, I'm here to speak on behalf of my brothers and sisters in Tibet who live under the cruel oppression of the Chinese Communist government, yet here not given up their hope for the freedom. I also stand in solidarity with the brothers and sisters from East Turkestan, Hong Kong, Southern Mongolia, and Taiwan in their just fight against the Chinese Communist Party. Today, the World and the International Olympic Committee have decided to be on the wrong side of the history of allowing Beijing to host the Olympic Games a government that absolutely does not honor the Olympic core value of excellence, respect and friendship. It is also a reminder to us as the oppressed people that we must work together and continue to resist in solidarity with each other to hold these powers accountable for their crimes. Ours is a just cause, and the truth which is on our side will prevail. To my fellow Canadians and the people of the world who believe in equality and justice, I implore you to support us and stand up against the Chinese Communist government. And one way you can do that is by not watching and saying no to the Beijing Olympic 2022. Thank you so much, everyone.
My name is Tenzin Ching, and I'm a part of Students for Free Tibet Canada. This past summer, I had the opportunity to attend Students for Free Tibet Action Camp, where I was training, learning, and growing with not only Tibetan students from all over North America, but also with Uyghur and Hong Kong students who were all eager and passionate about taking action towards the same cause. During this time, I was able to learn the struggles of what the Uyghurs and the Hong Kongers were going through, and had reminded me that us Tibetans are not alone in this movement. Right now, an estimated 1 million Uyghurs are detained in internment and labor camps, where they're being forced to do labor, suppression of Uyghur religious practices, political indoctrination, forced sterilization, forced abortion, and many, many more brutal injustices. Let me remind you that this is the largest scale detention of ethnic and religious minorities since World War II. There was a recent report of China's massive colonial boarding school systems in Tibet, where hundreds of thousands of young Tibetan children, as young as 4, were being separated from their homes and families and were being forced to suppress their Tibetan identity through the hands of the CCP. Young Hong Kong movement leaders have been spending their youth in jail due to the crushing democracy in Hong Kong. Therefore, how could one of the most prestigious and most respected international sports games be hosted in a country where brutal human rights violations are constantly being committed? A country where every single day countless lives are being detrimented. Yet just like the 1936 Nazi games, the IOC has once again failed to oblige to basic human rights. Stand in solidarity with us by committing to the #IWillNotWatch campaign and educating yourselves about what is really going on inside Tibet, Hong Kong, East Turkestan, and mainland China. #Boycott Beijing 2022. Pegelo.
Today at this moment, during this action, we all are here to boycott the Chinese Communist Beijing Olympics. Before, Olympics used to be very peaceful, where there is respect in the same platform, love, hosted by the fair and the free country. But this time, an Olympic is a game of a genocide, hosted by the Chinese Communist Party, the regime which is responsible for the death of millions of people in Tibet, Uyghur, Taiwan, Mongolia, and lots of different countries. China has used the international games, just like the Winter Olympics, a platform, international platform, to cover or curtain the atrocities that they have taken place behind their backyards. Although there are different countries, many countries that have taken the diplomatic boycott, which is very helpful, but that is not enough to send a clear message, to send a clear, concrete message that we do not accept the Chinese Communist Party. They have the audacity to host the Winter Olympics. The Olympics, which is known to be hosted by the free country. We do not accept a country like China where every day there's a killing. Every day is an organ harvest. We do not accept it. We urge the international community, whether it's a single athlete, a single group, a community, a country, to stand up against all of us, to boycott the Chinese Communist Party, the Beijing Winter Olympic. We do not accept it. We do not accept the Chinese community. Once again, I repeat it. We do not accept the Chinese communists to host the Winter Olympics, which has been hosted before by the fair country, not like the Chinese, not like the China, where every day there are atrocities. We cannot accept it. We cannot accept it. Once again, we all stand up. We urge everybody to stand up. Boycott, boycott, boycott Winter Olympics.
Assalamu alaikum. Rahmet ve aleyküm esselam diyen Tibetlikler için. Assalamu alaikum Uygur Şərq Türkistanlı qarindaşlar. Bir nəsi zat biri 5 aylık ödanla Kanada Şərq Türkistan Cemiyeti'nin reis sözleydi diye. Ama bizde bir gap var ki İngilizce sözlerle mi bildiğinlerse yaşlı açıksın da kovullarını sundurup edip. Şundan gap kıldığın bir adet anla var ki çoğunlarının mı 5 kol okşaşmaz bəzəllərin til bölüsünü bilgenlik sözler pesanlı bulduğun gap bana sözler pemesle verdi. Ama məməylə bana bəziləri Tibetçi sözlüdü, bəziləri İngilizce sözlüdü. Ben üzem ahırda sözleydigen gap pulça hazır sözley. Ete Uygur hareketinin 25 yıl toşkan günü şuna muşu namayışka Set Thomas'tan kelgen Irak kelgen Set Thomas'tan kelgen Enver ayal Ayşe Ekrem ayal Ayşe Ayız'ın oşumadın Set aldı. Her yerden kelgen bütün muşu qarindaşağa çın kalbimden cemiyet namıdır ve şahs namıdır rahmet etmem. İkinci ayının 5. günü Uygur'da 25 yıl burun uzanla bilirsiler muşunda qada intayın soğukta defsitip, qağı defsitip, muz tutup öldürüp atkan şehitlerimizden günü ete 25 yıl toşkan günü. Şuna muşaga şu soğukla oylap, nimin oylap çıqqanlığınlar için köp rahmet etmem. Ben namayışta bugün kögensizler demokratik Xitaylarını ya ki davamlıq biz böyle birge kılvatkan Hong Kongluqlarını kömüdənler. Çünkü ular dedi ki Beijing'de olimpik olan vaxtda biz bu namayışki şerikleşip çıkamayız dedi. Bizden hazır siyasi özgürlük kozguvatkan bütün dünyadaki yaşa şunu bilenmeklik. Karanlıma Xitaylardaki vatanperverlikni. Men komünist naçar Xitay olsun mu Beijing'de ötküzdügen faaliyet tenerket oğanlık için biz bunu destekleyip bunda faaliyetlerini kelenmeyimiz dedi. Yalnız Kanada demez. Başka devletlerine karab bakınlar. Kısmen dinçi Hong Kongluqlar katlaşkan bilen hakiki demokratçı Hong Kongluqlar ve Xitay demokratçılar yok namayışlarda. Şuna menin gidemek çoğunun biraz ögünüğün vatanperverlikten bizim ögüneyli yani birleşine birini yasattık Uygurlar bölünmez, şehitler ölmezdi. Birleşeyle bunda namayışka çıksak ak kök bayrak üçün Şərq Türkistan'ın hürmeti ve şehitlerinin ruhu için çıkmayız. Tuygun avlıyor için çıkmayız. Banalar tepip gitti bugün Windsor'da namayış kılığı tuttu. CBC'nin aldıda Uygurlar. Nahayte hürmetlik Uygurlar. Şu an bazılarını bölmeyle bölsek yaman buludu. Kim bölsün şunu sotku tatıp çıkınlar mı Toronto'daki cemaat? Anladı kim? Bunu kim? Muşlar bir faaliyet olsa, birazsanlık telefon kılsa, CBC'nin sözler premsi falan yardımcısı, yaşlar diyen yapmış ki çıman kılmanlar. Her kandığınlar. Rahmet.
Today we are Uyghur people, Tibetans, people from Hong Kong and East Turkestan. We are all Taiwan. We are all here standing in front of Chinese consulate office that represents Communist Party of China. And we are all here to stand and to condemn the decision of International Olympic Committee to award China to host Winter Olympic. China does not have snow. They have to use all the forced labor of Tibetans, Uyghurs, and the reformers of Hong Kong. They did forceful detention of all these people to host this game. China does not deserve to host Olympic Games. They have gross human rights. They are taking place in China, in Tibet, in Hong Kong, and all the other minorities that are being, imposed this human rights abuse. China does not deserve to host Olympic Games, and we condemn the act of International Olympic Committee to host. The glitters and the spectacles of Olympic Games cannot cover the mass, the gross human rights abuse, the genocide that's taking place for the people of Tibet, for the people of East Turkestan, for East Mongolia, and Hong Kong, all the other minorities. They are suffering. And to host these Olympic Games, China has used the people. They use forced labor to host such games, and shame on International Olympic Committee to host such games. We have some cases like this athletes that is putting an allegation of sexual assault. International Olympic Committee has, turned a blind eye to such allegation and awarded China to host. China does not deserve to. We all stand to condemn the act of International Olympic Committee, and we want to send a strong message to China that you don't deserve to host this. You have, gross human rights abuse record. And how many Tibetans have died? How many people from East Turkestan have died and languished in the jail of, China? We have suffered. We represent the people of Tibet, and vast majority of Tibetans are in Tibet. We are the voice for the voiceless Tibetans. We are the voice of the voiceless East Turkestan Uyghurs people, and we are the voice of reformers of Hong Kong and other minorities who are suffering and languishing under the Chinese regime. So we stand here in solidarity to the people that are suffering in China. We are standing in front of Chinese consulate office to send a strong message to the government of China. Stop doing all this nonsense. You don't deserve, and shame on International Olympic Committee to force these athletes and the sportsmen to not speak up for the political rights of all these minorities. You have just sent these people, and it's like it's such a joke. It's such a joke that these journalists have no rights to cover what's happening in Tibet. They are just covering the spectacles that's taking place. It's such a joke, and we are standing here to strong message to the government of China, the Communist Party of China, that it's such a shame. It's such a shame that we are all watching, you guys doing all the human rights abuse, and International Olympic Committee is legitimizing by awarding the Olympic game for China to host Olympic Games. You are legitimizing the crime that is caused, and China will continue to do human rights abuse because you allowed it. You allowed it in spite of all the human rights regards. So we are here standing to condemn the act of the Chinese government, to condemn the act of the International Olympic Committee. And we urge all the people, all the citizens of this world that are for freedom and justice to speak against Chinese Communist Party for conducting such a human rights abuse. Thank you so much for all the people that have come in solidarity to show support.
Stripped away from their parents. Everybody speak and say your slogans louder. Think about your family members in East Turkestan that are being put into concentration camps. Say it louder with me. Shame on CCP! Shame on CCP! Shame on CCP! Shame on CCP! Shame on CCP! Shame on CCP! No Beijing 2022! Boycott Beijing 2022! Boycott Beijing 2022!
Everything you know is in your mind. Are you all my personal